everybody, and welcome to another awesome Keyblade Countdown. SpongeBob, an amazing show that's near and dear to my heart. The show started in 1999 and ran for 3 seasons before the creator wanted to end it with its feature-length film. But Nickelodeon wanted to keep the show running due to its insane popularity. This is when it started to slip in quality in the eyes of viewers, and while I don't agree with that claim entirely, I can see where they're coming from. While I love SpongeBob, a few of his episodes are either mediocre, horrible, and some even morally disgusting. And that's exactly what I'm here to talk about. But before the countdown, please no trolling or flaming. Also, my flame shields are up just in case because there are a few episodes that I guarantee a lot of people will not agree with. With all of that said, I'm the Awesome Keyblade for my top 25 worst SpongeBob SquarePants episodes. Send help. When I first started making this list, I thought that Squid would make it at least in the top 10, but it just barely cracks the list. The episode starts with Squidward doing some things that makes him happy, with SpongeBob interrupting him, asking if he wants to play. Nothing really exciting happens during this part, but SpongeBob does give one of the creepiest stares in the show's history. While Squidward's in the tub, I don't like where this is going. So SpongeBob finally gets that Squidward doesn't want to play with him, so instead of playing with Patrick, who's in this episode, but the writer still forgot about him somehow, he makes a Squidward puppet instead.
SpongeBob made a replacement me, so that when you don't want to play, SpongeBob can play with me, you.
The rest of the episode from here can be summarized as such. Squidward does something and everybody hates him for it. Mini Squid does something and everybody loves him for it. At the end, Mini Squid gets a record deal while Squidward is left with SpongeBob and...
another me!
Okay, seriously, can anybody yell at me for thinking that this would make it higher on the list? Wait, Squidward only made it at 25. What did I get myself into?
What's the big deal? Those are all my moves!
Okay, here's where things get ugly, because the next 3 entries are some of the most infamous SpongeBob episodes out there. And to start off this trend, Stuck in the Wringer. Now, we just saw what a Squidward torture episode is like, or at least one of the examples, but what is a SpongeBob torture episode like? Well, let's find out. The episode starts with him taking a shower, and through a very forced set of circumstances, he gets stuck in his wringer.
He said it! He said it!
After this, Patrick comes in saying that the rubber ducky SpongeBob slipped on was his. And when SpongeBob says they stuck, Patrick gets forever glue and gets him even more stuck. And yes, it is a punch to the face when you realize that this was also in its pocket. SpongeBob tries to go to work despite this, but just ends up making everything worse. When he starts to feel bad about everything, Patrick brings him to an ice cream shop, which I'm pretty sure is the only good thing he's done in this episode. And when he gets there, SpongeBob can't eat the ice cream. Wait, are you trying to tell me that SpongeBob can't eat with that thing on? I mean, ice cream is already basically a liquid, so if he can't swallow something like that, that tube is closed for good. So instead of bringing him to a hospital, or heck, even Sandy's, he brings him to the carnival, where guess what happens? He gets even more hurt and gets sent flying out of a teacup that Patrick made go really fast. And when he's flying out, Patrick doesn't go looking for him and instead just plays darts. After all of this, SpongeBob is justifiably fed up with Patrick, and every word he says at this point is so satisfying.
If it wasn't for your forever glue, I wouldn't be stuck in this thing.
I was only trying to help.
Help! I think you've helped quite enough today.
Now we're gonna have Patrick apologize and happy ending, right?
Not quite.
Wait, what?
You
What
know,
is going
kid,
on? Why are you
Your body
talking?
isn't the problem. It's your heart.
What? What?
You deserve what you've gotten. Come on, we're out of here. No! No!
After this, Patrick checks up on SpongeBob where he's shown to be in a realistic depression. For now, let's just be glad they didn't find humor in it. Patrick cries on SpongeBob, which loosens the glue. Wait, hold on. Tears are basically salt water. They live in the flipping... Oh, did you forget that? But whatever, we still have the most infamous part of the episode to go through.
I guess crying does solve your problems after all.
Now, I know a lot of you are probably asking, why isn't this any higher? Especially considering I was basically shown to hate this episode. Well, I don't mind it as much as everybody else does. The most infamous part of the episode, the moral at the end, I thought was probably the funniest part of the episode. I could tell that wasn't really supposed to be taken seriously. I mean, seriously, the moral is crying solves your problems. But the cruelty towards SpongeBob and the obliviousness of Patrick is way too mean-spirited and not at all funny. But even then, I thought the episodes above it were even worse. One down, 2 to go. And cue the hate comments. So yeah, probably the most infamous episode in the entire show, A Pal for Gary, is only at number 28. Okay, so this episode starts with SpongeBob getting ready for work when he thinks that Gary wants to play with him when actually he just wants to watch TV. SpongeBob goes to work, but then gets hit over the head constantly with sap.
You reach SpongeBob and... Come on, Gary. Oh, Gary. Ah! The two of us are having too much fun together to answer the phone right now. So leave a message and we'll call you right back if we ever get a break from having so much fun.
When he's on his way back from work, he finds an old lady selling these weird creatures, and SpongeBob just straight up steals one. And once he gets back, he introduces Gary to... Puffy Fluffy, who turns out to be a monster who wants to kill Gary because, I don't know, it doesn't like pets or something, I don't know. The major thing wrong with this episode is the fact that Gary has to fight for his life during the entire night, while SpongeBob doesn't even notice till the morning. Oh wait! SpongeBob actually doesn't notice in the morning and causes this.
Gary! You put Fluffy down right now. Bad boy, Gary. Bad, bad, bad. I told you and 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 told you. Oh, well.
No. Why wouldn't this gang hire? Well, there's bigger reason coming up later on the list, but for now, some minor reasons are this episode was actually kind of funny in points. I thought that Puffy's design, when it evolves, it was actually pretty good. And not to mention, it had some stiff competition of even worse writing. Think about that. The last of the infamous ones that didn't make it in the top 20, we have House Fancy, an episode that I feel like is infamous for all of the wrong reasons. The episode starts with Squidward watching his favorite show, House Fancy, and with the writers giggling to themselves because they got CGI in the episode. Anyway, Squidward sees that Squilliam is on the show displaying his house, and Squidward calls the show saying that his house is much fancier than Squilliam's. And cue SpongeBob entering the episode in the most lazy and kind of creepy way the writers could think of.
I do that, then how am I going to help you get your house ready for the big TV show?
How did you know about that?
I was spying on you.
And during the rest of the episode, nothing happens. It's just Squidward gives a simple task, SpongeBob messes it up for about 7 minutes. At the end of the episode, Squidward's house blows up and is being considered fancy either way, which wasn't even the original ending. So either way, House Fancy just isn't that good of an episode.
And you do realize that you're not talking about
Nope, not even gonna mention it. Not
And it's
today.
the only reason that people actually talk about this episode. Just talk about the toenail scene.
What? Fine. Let's talk about the toenail scene. I don't even care. So yeah, the main reason this episode is actually infamous in the first place is because there's a scene where Squidward's toenail violently ripped off for about 10 seconds, and we get the pleasure of watching it.
You got it, Squiddy. Tell me moving or two.
Hang on, I'm trying to get a grip on the thing. Now don't move it till I say, ow! Okay, it's on my foot.
Okay.
Ow! Ow! SpongeBob! I told you not to move it till I said ow! Why do you keep moving it?
Cause you keep saying, ow!
Ow!
Thing is, while I try and close my eyes during the scene, it doesn't bother me that much. I mean, yes, it shouldn't be anywhere near a kid's show, and god dang it, is it gross. But it only lasts a few seconds, and it's not really even plot relevant. The entire episode would have been the exact same without it, so I don't even know why it was in there. My point is, House Fancy isn't a bad episode because of some toenail scene or some alternate ending we never got to see. It's bad because nothing happens. During the entire episode is a recycled failed joke, and it doesn't even feel like the writers tried. And yet still, the worst is yet to come. Oh gosh, this episode. Good old What's-His-Name is probably the most uninspired episode in the entire series. And that's kind of saying a lot, actually. The episode starts with Mr. Krabs telling SpongeBob and Squidward that they can win a free vacation by naming everybody in the Krusty Krab by name. When they start, SpongeBob starts to name everybody while Squidward can't get a single name. When Squidward finds out how SpongeBob's naming everybody, he starts to name everybody in the restaurant, and they become tied. And the tiebreaker is the man over there.
What should I put down?
First and last name?
Sure.
Yeah. Why don't you write this on your form? What's it? Tuya!
Squidward takes his wallet to check his driver's license for the name, and guess what? His name actually was What's It To Ya.
What a twist!
Squidward goes to jail for, stealing a man's wallet. When Mr. Krabs says that the prize to the contest was the brochure to the vacation and not the actual vacation.
What a twist!
This episode reeks of just nobody caring. 5-minute Squidward torture episode that started nowhere and ended up just there. Okay, how does this episode not have more hate? Once again, this is an incredibly uninspired episode, but there's one major catch to this. This one's 11 minutes and not 5. I'll try to make this quick considering I don't have the footage for the entire episode, so here goes. When SpongeBob is literally sent his cousin through the mail because his uncle can't take it anymore, and as it turns out, his cousin Stanley literally breaks everything he touches. Stanley tries to get a job to prove that he can do something without, it exploding, but he can't do any of the jobs right, even when Patrick tells him to do nothing. Until he goes to the Krusty Krab, where Mr. Krabs gives him a job on the spot, basically just because he's related to SpongeBob. After this point, a lot of the episode, it's just Stanley messing up and then SpongeBob fixing it. Until Stanley snaps his spatula, where which SpongeBob snaps, and tells Mr. Krabs that he really can't do anything right. Then the episode ends with him getting a job at the Chum Bucket and making the Chum Bucket explode. And then it just cuts to black. I'm not kidding, guys. That's literally how it ends. Never mention what happens after that, and heck, Stanley's never even seen it in another episode. So let me get this straight. You set up a conflict that wasn't even that good, and you never even gave it a resolution? Yeah, this is one of the worst endings I've ever seen in a SpongeBob episode, and sadly, the ending fits the episode perfectly. After watching SpongeBob for so long, I've noticed that just about every season has its special, or for some of the more recent ones, its own ratings trap. And oh boy, Season 8's Legends of Bikini Bottom is one of the worst. A lot of the episodes are just really, really bad, and really for this list, I was up for two choices, Trench Billies or The Main Drain. Honestly, Trench Billies was just kind of boring to me, so Main Drain it is. When the sink at the Krusty Krab starts to overflow, Mr. Krabs tells a story to SpongeBob to keep him from pulling the drain plug, even though the Krusty Krab is floating, but whatever. Hey, here's a fun game I like to play during episodes like this. It's called Count the Plot Holes. Are you ready? Let's do this. There's no way that drain would have enough magic points for that spell. This is apparently also the day that the parents gave up on raising them. They're wondering, shouldn't they go through places and see things instead of running past the same field over and over? These kids would definitely tell somebody about it, or at least brag to somebody that they found a giant drain plug. If it was so well known that it has a name, then shouldn't these kids already know about it and what it can do? Neither of them were concerned that they just found a drain plug to the ocean. Yep, let's just pull it. Nothing bad's gonna happen, I pinky swear. Okay, is the drain heat-seeking now? If that kit doesn't fit, then shouldn't he be blocking the drain? Basically acting as a new drain plug. And if it could suck him down, then two things. One, that it should have been able to suck down the drain plug. And two, I guess it did have enough magic points. It's the drain lead. What would be the use of having a drain plug to the ocean? I'm pretty sure that Neptune would have blocked this off by now. And how did everything miraculously spawn upside the drain?
And nobody has ever heard from Bikini.
Then where did the story come from? Anyway, SpongeBob and Patrick are curious about the drain and start to look for it, and it turns out Plankton also knows a lot about the drain. So later, actually do find the mythical drain plug, and then Patrick has one of the dumbest ideas ever, even for Patrick.
Let's pull it.
Why are we do that?
Well, that was the whole point of coming here, wasn't it?
No! We came to see if it was real.
Well, how do we know this isn't a fake?
So Patrick is literally going to cause the apocalypse just to prove his point? To think I voted for you.
You see, we were the two dinglings who broke that plug.
Wait. Looks like it's time for round 2! Shouldn't Krabs be in rags during this scene? Why does Plankton have clothes on? Considering how Krabs is now, I'd believe that he'd pull it. But Plankton? If this thing is powerful enough to destroy 70% of a planet, then how is Krabs able to pull it with no ease? If the drain sucked everything down, then wouldn't it suck down the drain plug? And nobody else on the entire flipping planet noticed that, maybe the planet's 70% lighter. Are you seriously trying to tell me that that kid from earlier is bigger than Krabs? And the drain plug saved a fortune reusing the animation from before. So you told them an intriguing story about some rare sight that nobody's ever seen and gave them an ambiguous ending to it, and never thought that they'd ever think about it ever again or pursue it ever. Also, you were straight up lying earlier when you said that nobody was heard from ever again because you're standing right in front of them.
We almost messed up big time.
And I thought the song from Atlantis Square Pantis was forced. But don't worry, we still have one of the most cliched endings in SpongeBob history to look forward to.
What a twist!
Considering how many plot holes I found and just how boring the rest of the episode was, it's really no shock that it made the list. The only thing that's shocking is that we still have 18 more entries. Can we talk about pre-movie SpongeBob? I really want to talk about pre-movie SpongeBob. These are the episodes. The episodes that have little to no debate on whether they're good or not, and the episodes that basically nobody dislikes. There's some of my favorite episodes of the show, and there's some of a lot of people's favorite episodes of the show. But even with good shows, they do have their bad episodes. And The Paper is a very bad episode. Now, I'm not saying that pre-movie SpongeBob is a bad show by any means. I love post and pre-movie SpongeBob. It's just, you know the Squidward torture episodes that I've been talking about through this list? Well, The Paper is the original Squidward torture episode. Okay, let me show you what I mean. The episode starts with Squidward trying to relax when he litters a piece of paper and forgets the Bikini Bottom golden rule. You can do flipping whatever you want. Break into any house, stalk, and even try to murder somebody. But if you so much as think of littering, then prepare to have your butt on our silver plate. Anyways, SpongeBob sees this and asks if he wants the piece of paper back, even though he clearly doesn't because he drops it on the floor, purposefully.
Take it, SpongeBob. Take it, please. And promise me, no matter how much I may beg and plead and cry, don't give that paper back to me.
Because that wasn't forced at all. So SpongeBob does a bunch of cool stuff with the wrapper, and instead of letting SpongeBob be happy, Squidward wants the paper back. And I can't possibly see where this is going.
You made me promise no matter how much you begged and pleaded and cried not to give the paper back to you, ever.
So Squidward literally sells everything that he has to the shirt off his back to get the gum wrapper back. Hey, here's a fun idea. Why doesn't he just get another piece? It's not like gum's expensive or anything. And the episode basically laughs in his face as he messes up doing all the cool stuff that SpongeBob was doing and shows SpongeBob playing with all of Squidward's stuff. But then comes the final mean-spirited nail in the coffin, Patrick. For me, this episode is way too predictable to be a good story and way too mean-spirited to be a good episode. Like I said, pre-movie SpongeBob is a good show. It's just good shows to have their moments. Trust me, compared to what we'll see later, I'll be begging for this episode by the end of part 2. But until then, I'm the Awesome Keyblade, and see you during part 2 of Top 25 Worst SpongeBob Episodes. See you then.